What's up, guys? Today is the day. WWDC 2017 is here, and I gotta say, to be honest, this is the best WWDC event I've ever had the pleasure of watching. The most entertaining, but also the most product and the most significant changes so far. So starting off with tvOS, Amazon Prime Video is coming to that. Moving on to Apple Watch, OS 4 of course is coming out, and it has some new things. A new kaleidoscope view, new Siri watch face that gives you relevant information that Siri thinks you might need, some Toy Story watch faces as well, more intelligent workout modes, activity. It'll tell you how much time you need to walk to fill in your rings, stuff like that. Music player has been redesigned, so a lot of intuitive changes to make things easier for you on the Apple Watch. For me, one of the coolest changes is the ability to sync your Apple Watch with gym equipment. Of course, it's got to be compatible with it, but you can actually get more detailed information that way. And moving on to Mac OS. The new version of Mac OS is going to be called Mac OS High Sierra. So it includes a lot of optimizations and performance improvements with some new technology thrown in there. Most of those improvements in performance being in the Safari browser, which Apple claims to be is the fastest browser on the market right now. There's also ad prevention from tracking you. Mail takes up a lot less storage. There's a lot of improvements to the photo application, and some features will sync with Photoshop even. You've got Apple File System now, which everybody saw coming, and Apple has switched over to H.265 compression standard, which means 40% reduction in video sizes for that 4K quality, which is quite good. It's also hardware accelerated. So Apple has made a lot of improvements to the GPU as well with Metal 2. You're going to get even more optimization, even more out of your GPU, only for the newer ones though, so only if you have a newer Mac. Also support for external graphics built into Mac OS, which is actually awesome. So that means VR is finally coming to the Macs, and you're going to be seeing that Metal 2 acceleration in a lot of third-party apps as well. So there you have Mac OS High Sierra. Nothing too big, but you have a lot of welcome refinements, and it will support all devices that currently support Sierra. So with this new version of Mac OS, there is also a new version of the iMac with faster storage, 2 new USB-C ports, Kaby Lake processors, support for up to 64 gigabytes of RAM on the 27-inch model, and an all-new display. They say the best they've ever put on an iMac with a much brighter 500 nits. So it does have next-generation graphics as well that are about 80% faster on the lower-end model and 3 times faster on the higher-end model. The price for the mid-range 4K one did go down as well. And for the update I was most excited about, Apple quickly skimmed over the MacBooks. The MacBook Pros, all MacBooks get the Kaby Lake processor, 7th generation. No exact numbers here. They do get 50% faster storage on the smaller MacBook, and you will get a faster standard graphics on the 15-inch MacBook Pro. So really nothing too crazy, but there is a small update here. Mid-range 13-inch model gets a price drop as well. So Apple also did introduce a new iMac Pro today, which is actually super cool. I'm psyched for it. Apple says it's the most powerful Mac they have ever created. It comes with a beautiful jet black Darth Vader keyboard setup with the mouse. It's got a Xeon processor, which a lot of people have been wanting forever, a new cooling system to keep it cool, and you've got a choice between 8, 10, and 18 cores. AMD provides the GPU options with the new Vega series. You get 128 gigabytes of RAM if you want it. There's even an Ethernet port and new USB-C ports. So it's absolutely a beast, used for professionals mostly, coming in December. So starting off with iOS 11, I was very happy to see that Apple didn't rename it completely. They kept with the traditional naming scheme here. And they started off by telling us about the new technologies inside of it. With the redesigned app drawer inside of iMessages, it's a lot simpler, synchronized iMessages across all of your devices. You delete something, it gets deleted off the other device. It saves a lot of storage that way. And you can now finally send money over messages with Apple Pay. You'll actually have a card that you can withdraw to your bank from, or just keep a balance on there. As long as you're using it with Apple, I don't think you'll get feed with that. Super cool. Siri got an update to sound a lot more natural now with new male and female voices. Siri itself has a new interface. It'll show you more results, and there's even a translation that's in beta currently. Overall, Siri becomes a lot more useful. Moving on to cameras. Apple's actually implemented their new HEVC compression into iOS 11, so that means pictures and videos will both take up 2 times less storage. So you can have double the photos in iOS 11. And some welcome updates to the portrait modes and live photos as well. So you can edit those, even the depth API, which is really cool. You can mess around with the portrait mode after actually taking the picture. Lots of great stuff. Moving on to iOS 11 redesign. The control center is now a single page with 3D touch toggles and platters where you can get even more information from. Super cool. I love the way Apple thought this out. This was honestly my concern, how Apple would deal with this, and I think it looks fantastic. So in the actual demo, you see you do have the brightness and the volume slider on the right, easily accessible, but of course you can 3D touch on them to get more information, and that applies to almost every single tile here. There's some really neat animations in things such as simple as the rotation lock, which they demoed. As you can see, very fluid, very nice, and I like how Apple designed iOS 11 around the 3D touch feature. So on devices with 3D touch, which currently only the 6 and the 5S will not have, you will be able to 3D touch most areas of this and get more detailed information and things such as this, such as shortcuts and even more toggles hidden away. I absolutely love it. Can't wait to try it out in person, as I think this is a really great solution. The music application here too, you'll be able to see the album art once you open it up in there. Super cool. iOS 11 itself doesn't look too different. There are some different icons, but I was a little disappointed to see Apple didn't take too much time to rethink all of the icons themselves. Overall, Photos has a huge upgrade that Apple went over. Messages has a new look. Maps gets a new upgrade with lane guidance and speed limits. Also with mapped out 3D airports and malls even, and there's a new do not disturb while driving mode that can filter all notifications. So, basically it's just you and the car and nothing else to distract you with. And even things as small as the HomeKit have been rethought. Apple has included a new speakers tab as well with AirPlay 2. So you're going to be able to get a redesigned interface over there and integration with a lot of new speakers. So your old ones will still work, but not the same. It won't be as great as there won't be room-to-room selection. The App Store itself gets a complete redesign. Honestly, I think it's a little too simple. You can only see like one or two things on the screen at one point in time. There's some new tabs as well, but I do really like the new reviews page itself. So that's the App Store, and Apple has challenged developers by giving them several features, more tools to work with. First off, there's Metal 2. You'll get a lot more power out of the GPU using this feature, and there are new AR capabilities. So Apple is really proud of this. Basically, you're going to have real-time shadows, interaction, a lot more control to the developers. That means AR games, AR applications will look much better. So that's iOS 11. Of course, Apple never shares every tiny little detail, so when the beta drops later today, I'll go over with that with you. Next up, the iPad Pro. Apple has released a new 10.5-inch iPad Pro with slimmer bezels and an all-new display with a 120Hz refresh rate. They say it's a lot smoother when scrolling and it adapts to your content that you're viewing, which means you'll save power when you don't need it. There's a new A10X processor with a ridiculous amount of processing power, and there's already some applications they demoed that take advantage of that processing power. Photo editing in real time is actually, they said, 4 times more powerful and responsive than an i7 quad core in the same application. The cameras are now borrowed from the iPhone 7, so that's 7 megapixels in the front now and 12 in the rear with optical image stabilization in 4K. You've got some new accessories, including a pouch that'll hold the Apple Pencil, and there's no new Apple Pencil 2, but the existing one will work better with this new one with the faster refresh rate on the display. There's also a completely revamped OS with a new docking feature, new split screen interaction where you can drag and drop. The multitasking feature is just insane. It looks so awesome. Apple figured out such a great solution. There's a new file browser. Of course, it's not full system root access, but it gives you everything you need, everything people were asking Apple for. You get the new control center as well. It just looks amazing. Of course, you've got markup within notes, within messages. You can instantly mark things up. And the feature I really liked was screenshots. So when you can take a screenshot, it'll just pop up in the bottom left of your display, which is really cool. Apple put a lot of work into the Notes application so you can scan documents immediately within it. And there's so much I'm going to be covering with you on this later today. So today, Apple did also announce an all-new product, very similar to the AirPod lineup. They said they call it HomePod. It's a breakthrough home speaker. So it's essentially a really, really good speaker at its core, but also it has the Alexa brains basically. So it's got Siri inside, and you'll be able to use it as a smart home device to control all of your things, ask questions. but inside it's got some pretty incredible technology. You've got 7 tweeters and you've got one big subwoofer, and it's actually powered by the Apple A8 chip. So it'll analyze where you stand in the room, it'll analyze its environment and give you the best sound as a result. Apple said they've been working on this for years. They're very, very proud of it, and it's going to be coming later in December as well, starting at $349. Super excited to try that one out. It's an entirely new project. And of course, Apple did bring up the concerns with privacy. Of course, this thing is going to be on all the time, but they said it will never send information until you directly speak with it and it needs to answer a question. Pricing is pretty decent, I'd say, considering the competition and the capability of this speaker. Of course, we'll have to see how it sounds with time, but Apple says they're very, very proud of it and its capabilities. So there it is, guys. What an event today. WWDC 2017, like I said, by far the best WWDC so far. We got new hardware, we got incredible looking new software, we got a complete revamp for the iPad, as well as new products altogether. The new HomePod, which I'm super excited to try out, and the Mac or iMac Pro. Man, what a beast. So guys, stay tuned. I'll have all of this on my channel. I'm going to have several iOS 11 videos up for you today. If you guys want to try it out, of course, you'll be able to install it like usual. So thanks so much for watching, guys. That's WWDC. Stay tuned for all the more detailed look at iOS 11, Mac OS, watchOS, the usual. Have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.